The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
I always equated training to mental toughening.
Welcome to the Business Pump Podcast.
It has the potential to change your whole life.
Connect with fitness professionals and turn your passion for fitness into a successful business.
Hard work is the first, second, and third part of the formula.
You gotta keep moving, let's go. Don't quit till you got nothing left.
And now your host, Michael Groff.
What's up? My name is Michael Groff, and I want to welcome you to the very first episode of the Business Pump Podcast. If you are new here, which probably most of you are since this podcast is brand new, let me just briefly give an explanation of what this podcast is all about. So basically, outside of this podcast, I run my own web design and SEO agency called Fitr Media, and we help fitness professionals get online and grow with web design and SEO. And I was thinking one day, what can I do better to better help these people, like fitness professionals? Because obviously, I do not own a gym. I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not a nutrition coach. So I can only help them grow online, grow their businesses online as much. And one day I got to thinking, wait, I can just interview these people, the actual fitness professionals in their industry, and let them be the expert on the subject. So that's what this podcast is going to be about. Every week you can look forward to a brand new episode where I'll interview somebody who took their passion for fitness and made it into a successful business. I'm interviewing people all the way from gym owners, nutrition coaches, personal trainers, athletes, and even fitness influencers. Basically just anybody who took their passion for fitness and made it into an actual business. And before we get into today's guest, I just quick want to let you know about the giveaway we're doing in celebration of this podcast. We're giving away a brand new Theragun Mini. If you want to be entered in to win that, just go to fitrmedia.com/BP. That's fitrmedia.com/BP, or you can just click the link in the description. But anyway, today's guest is a guy named Rodrigo Garcia. I really had fun interviewing Rodrigo. I found him, maybe 6 months to a year ago through his YouTube channel. Anyway, Rodrigo Garcia is a really fun guy. He owns his own online nutrition coaching business. And we just dive into everything all the way from his fitness story, how he got into fitness, was he always passionate about fitness, how he became a nutrition coach, and how he actually grew his nutrition coach online using primarily Instagram and YouTube. Rodrigo dropped some really helpful truth bombs in this episode. But without any further ado, let's get into today's episode. Hey Rodrigo, how's it going, man?
Hey, what's going on, Michael? I'm doing good. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. So how was your Christmas? I saw you did a little bit of traveling on Instagram. Was that over Christmas?
Yeah, actually, it was over New Year's. My Christmas was good, man. Christmas was good. Spent time with family, ate some good food, and then the day after Christmas, I spent a week out in Mexico.
Oh, there you go.
San Lucas. Obviously, with the pandemic and everything going on, we took precautions. We stayed safe. We made sure everyone around us was safe and felt comfortable, but really enjoyed the sun because that same weekend that I left, it was snowing in my hometown, so definitely was super pumped on that. So
wow. Yeah, I'm originally from Florida, so seeing all those palm trees kind of brought me back, and it was really cold here in Colorado. I was like, oh, that looks so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so nice, man.
So for the listeners who don't know who you are, why don't you just kind of give a small bio about yourself, who's Rodrigo and what do you do for a living?
For sure. So for all of you guys that don't know, my name is Rodrigo, otherwise known as Shots G on Instagram. I basically do everything, fitness, lifestyle, nutrition. I do online nutrition coaching. That's how I kind of got into, making content and got into the space. I figured I needed to kind of market myself and put myself out there. So YouTube and Instagram has been an outlet for, kind of getting my message out there, letting people know who I am. And yeah, basically anything you guys want to know about me, you can pretty much find on YouTube or Instagram. I share a lot about my story and myself on there. All right. So I'm 25 years old, guys. Believe it or not, I wasn't always fit. I was actually a chubby kid. I stopped playing sports 7th grade all the way up until the freshman year of high school. So I definitely wasn't eating good. I wasn't very active. So I gained a little bit of weight. I was very chubby, feeling very insecure about myself. What really led me to kind of get into, fitness and nutrition coaching was I mean, you guys can probably relate. We all go, clothes shopping with our parents, but the summer before school starts. And I always looked at the magazines and people were looking super cool. I'm like, all right, I want those clothes. They look cool on this guy. So I go to the store and it doesn't look good. I'm like, why does it look super sick on this dude? And I just look like crap. And then I was like, maybe if I worked out, I'd look a little bit better. And, I started seeing a little bit of progress. I loved the way well, honestly, it sucked. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. It sucked really bad because I'd always be super sore. Working out wasn't easy. I was always in a lot of pain, but I wanted to look good in clothes and just start feeling better about myself. I remember doing P90X in my living room, man, almost like crying because my abs were on fire and just sweating. But I wanted that goal. I wanted, to look good so bad. So I just kept with it. And eventually, I went clothes shopping another year. I think it was like junior year, senior year. Like those 2 years, I remember like clothes were looking good and I was like feeling a lot more confident about myself. I just felt more like at ease with myself and like how I felt in the gym and everything. But that's basically how I got into it. Like I wasn't always fit and I kind of had to pave my own road in terms of like figure everything out on my own. Obviously I got help along the way with like football coaches, people, online, Chris Jones, Six Pack Shortcuts, Christian Guzman, Mark Fit, like those were the people I looked up to for like advice. Also the Hodge twins, if you guys know who they are, they used to do, the original fitness stuff. So they kind of like were my big brothers in a way. I'm the oldest of four. I'm, the only boy basically. And those kind of were like my big brothers. They kind of showed me everything, in terms of like creatine, eating, tracking your food, different types of workouts. That's kind of how I got into it. And then I went off to college. I met a bunch of like awesome friends and they were also into fitness. And then we kind of all lived together. And it was just this awesome, super cool little fitness niche out in San Luis Obispo where I went to school. Fast forward another year or two, I started working, went down the corporate route, realized that I hated what I was doing, that I was living someone else's dream. Honestly, it was a very dark time for me because one, I wasn't making very much money. Two, I hated what I was doing. And three, I just wasn't like happy with myself and the things I was doing. I got into like a bunch of sales jobs, legal services jobs, and a lot of those jobs just were not me, man. Like it felt like I had to wear a suit and tie every day, and it felt like I was, had to fit this mold that I just wasn't. Don't get me wrong, like I took full advantage of those jobs. I literally worked my ass off every single day. I figured if I'm going to be here, I'm going to take away a ton of stuff from this. Because I knew I wasn't going to stick around forever doing that. Anyways, it got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore. I had to just take the leap and kind of go after something I loved and I wanted to do. Kind of went against everything my family believed in, everything that I was taught growing up. You go to school, you get a job, you go the secure route. I just couldn't take it anymore, man. Like I've never felt anxiety in my life up until I decided to take that leap, man. When your chest gets tight and you feel like you're going to die, but it's really just anxiety. I've never felt that in my life. And now I know what people feel. And it's a really crappy feeling, but I guess I don't know. I'm pretty religious, I would say. I guess it was just, or if you're not, I guess it's just the universe, like pushing me into this. And yeah, man, coming into this, the fitness thing and the nutrition thing was kind of like natural to me, but the whole putting yourself out there, marketing and all that was all new. So I literally had to learn everything on my own, and I'm still learning, as we go. I'm about a year and a half, coming up on 2 years now doing this full time. And yeah, man, it's been a journey, a wild journey. It hasn't been the easiest. It's definitely been the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's been the best thing and most rewarding thing I've also done. So no regrets.
You said like the branding, the personal branding stuff is new to you. I never would have known that. Like you're all the time out there on Instagram, and I kind of like almost sometimes use you as a level because I've been following you for a while. And like, man, I need to post more like Rodrigo does. So you're definitely crushing it.
Awesome, thank you, man.
Yeah.
I guess that was one thing I got from like the corporate world and just like early fitness days. Like if you're gonna go do something, I'm gonna go all in. Like no looking back. Like if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability. I had to learn that the hard way because a lot of times I would say I was gonna do something, I didn't do it. I felt like crap. I would do something and then I would kind of stop, and all that's doing was just tearing myself down. Kind of like taking away from my confidence. And so I kind of just had to build those habits, and like now doing that here in the, fitness realm, personal branding realm, that was just kind of like second nature. Like, all right, I said I was going to do it, so let's do it. No matter how uncomfortable it is, no matter how scary it might seem, literally like zone everything out, like blinders on to this goal. and you say you're going to do something, so you just do it. And I just try to keep it simple. It's
Yeah.
simple. It's not easy. It's simple.
Yeah. Well, so I think a lot of times we tend to overcomplicate things, and we should get it back to the simplicity, and it will be a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned nutrition coaching. Is there a reason why you
Yeah.
chose nutrition coaching over like other things in the fitness world, like personal training or other types of coaching? Like why nutrition coaching?
Good question. That's like honestly like that's what I love people to ask me, is because I'm super passionate about
Mhm.
it. One, because it was not easy for me. I basically like didn't know anything about eating good. I thought you worked out and you looked good, but I was working out, I wasn't eating good, and I wasn't looking good, right? Um, Basically had to figure everything out. And looking back, I'm super mad that they don't teach you that in ninth grade. Whenever you take that little like health section of school, they don't teach you, about food. I guess they kind of do, like, hey, these are veggies, eat them, fruits, they're good for you, but they don't like kind of go in depth, which I feel like they should change that up and add that in, because a ton of young people could benefit from that, and they would just like, it would just level them up in all areas, like if for their studies or whatever they want to be.
Yeah,
But basically I had to learn it all on my own. What were you saying?
I was just gonna say, yeah, that would have helped me a ton too. Like when I got into fitness, when about the mid-teens, that would have helped a ton if I
Yeah.
was taught some of that stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I kind of just had to learn it all on my own, and it wasn't easy. Even when I learned about it, I still had to implement it. You have to take action on it, and it's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of messing up and figuring out what works for you and what works for your body. I would always hear like, "Oh, you just got to figure out what works for you and what works for your body," and it kind of just goes in one ear, out the other, and you don't really understand it until you literally are like, "Whoa, this didn't work for me," and then something clicks and it works for you, and then you're like, "Whoa, it really is true." So it's a lot of just trial and error, staying consistent, and just like having that goal and just like trying, over and over again to figure out what works for you. And that's why I'm super passionate about it, because I feel like, I've been chubby, I've been super skinny as well. I've had to put on muscle, and then now I'm kind of training for like performance with CrossFit and functional fitness. And that's why I'm super passionate about it, is because, I've had to kind of just figure it out on my own. And I want to, teach people that, because as soon as they get the nutrition on point, like fitness gets so much fun. Like it gets a whole lot funner. Performance goes up. You start looking good. You start falling in love with fitness. So
Yeah, that's cool. And nutrition is definitely one of those things that I think is the hardest part of fitness.
oh yeah.
When you get clients, are they usually people who, let's see, like, are they people who are starting to want to get in shape and they would know their nutrition is important, or are they kind of people who's been doing it trial and error for a few years and they are kind of like at their last point and don't know what to do when it comes to nutrition?
So I've had half and half. A lot of times it's like people that just had good genetics, growing up, and they didn't really have to worry about what they ate, and they were athletes, right? And then coming off like, whoa, I'm not as active anymore, and food really does matter. So they kind of have an idea of like how to work out, and like they're supposed to eat healthy food, but they don't really know like what they should be eating, the amounts, etc. But I've also had some people that have like just never even like dabbled into like health and fitness at all, and I'm kind of teaching them from square one. But basically at the end of the day, I make it a huge emphasis that nutrition is the most important part, and that they're literally not going to get any results unless they stay consistent and they just trust the process, because it's super hard to stay consistent and trust the process whenever you're not seeing any results for like the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Me personally, whenever I like kind of like bulk up a little bit, and then cut down, I literally don't see any gains. And then I feel like overnight, like I just see like, whoa, how am I like lean all of a sudden? And same with a few clients, like they've said the same thing. And I feel like that's why I make such a big emphasis on like trusting the process and staying consistent. Because if you're staying true to yourself and you're not lying to yourself, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do, you're going to get results. You just got to like keep at it.
Okay, yeah. That's some solid advice. Even that little bit of advice a few years ago when I first started training would have been really helpful. So
Yeah.
it's cool that you're putting out a lot of your content for free too, like your YouTube channel and everything. That's really dope. That kind of leads into
Yeah.
the question I wanted to ask you is like, how did you get your first nutrition client?
Good question. So I actually was thinking about doing all this. I was about to leave my corporate job, and I think it was my buddies, one of my good friends, bachelor party was coming up, and a buddy of mine, like I said, was an ex-athlete, played college football, reached out to me again, just like, was eating a ton of food just to be as big as possible. Was like, hey man, I'm kind of tired of this. I'm not playing football anymore. Like I just want to look good and I need your help. So he knew that I actually lived with him for a while. He always saw me weighing out my food, like weighing peanut butter out and stuff. And they'd always make fun of me, like, oh, you weigh out your food and especially your peanut butter. Anyways, he reached out and I was like, yeah, man, like, let's do like a little mini, like prep. We took it as like a little contest prep. He reached out to me, kind of started, teaching him, week by week, doing check-ins, switching things up. He was seeing crazy results and then it came down to it. And like, he looked really good, was super pumped. Everyone was like, whoa, like never really seen you like this before. And that's kind of how it like led into everything else. That obviously I coached him for free. And then from there I was like, okay, like I want to make an emphasis, that I do nutrition coaching. And then from there, it's been, or I guess that was the first client, right? First paying client was off of YouTube. Everything since then was YouTube and referrals. Like I've had sales job and I know how powerful referrals are because if like, I know you and, we've known each other for a long time. If I'm like, hey man, like you got to try this drink. It's so good. Like it's super expensive, but dude, like it's worth it. You're going to drink it. Right. So that's kind of the approach that I took. Like, hey man, just refer me out to your friends and family. Like if you were happy with the results, and that gave me a few more clients. And then honestly, YouTube was, I don't have very many followers on YouTube, but YouTube has been the most powerful thing for me. I feel like in terms of nutrition coaching, like with clients and stuff.
Yeah, I know YouTube is kind of hard to build, but even if you have a small following, I know it can be extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Someone out there wanting to start their nutrition coaching, like, do you recommend them start a YouTube channel like you did?
100%. It's obviously way harder. Like if you want to start nutrition coaching, I feel like you got to know why, like start with your why, because it's not easy. Like I said, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Because one, like putting yourself out there, I don't know about you or other people, but for me, like putting myself out there was the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm naturally like an introvert, I feel like, and I've had to like put an emphasis on being more extroverted. And something I've had to work on. Now it kind of feels natural, but just putting myself out there and like critiquing myself, like, oh, what if people don't like it and this and that, has been super hard. So you got to start with your why, obviously, like figure out why you want to do it. And then once you're like, hey, yes, I love this. This is what I want to do, or I want to, give this an honest shot. Highly recommend YouTube. It's going to take a long time to learn how to edit your videos and this and that, but I highly recommend it because it's more personal. Like people are going to get to like, know, and trust you on a more personal level. I don't know about you, but I'd much rather work with someone who's like cool, who's like a, like a homie, rather than just someone who sucks, right? That they're wearing like glasses and a shirt and tie, and you go like, hey, what should I eat? Like carrots, broccoli, rice. Like, I don't want to work with someone. I want someone who's going to tell me how it is. I want someone who I can like relate with and kind of vibe with. And I feel like YouTube's very, very good for that. So highly recommend YouTube.
Do you kind of see YouTube as a way to like brand yourself, as a way to attract the clients that you would like to work with? Like you talked about, people get to see you, like they get to know, like, and trust you. Do you think having your YouTube channel, putting yourself out there and branding yourself as like yourself, does that attract more clients that you'd like to work with, other than, let's say, you just were running ads on Facebook and you're just getting everybody, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I would say so for sure, because the only reason why people are like on your video and they stick around is because they like you, or you kind of interest them in some way. I feel like if you run ads, you're going to get a bunch of Karens like not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're going to be complaining to you. Whereas like on YouTube, they know what you're about. They know how you are, your personality, and they know that you're not messing around when it comes to that. So, I mean, that's literally like the only type of person that I work with. Like there's times where like I get on a call with someone just to figure out if I can help them or not. Cause I'm not going to take someone's money or accept them as a client if I know that I can't help them, or if I know that they're not motivated and that they're just not going to get results, because then that comes back onto me. So yeah, YouTube, like you kind of portray yourself in like your ideal client, and yeah.
Cool. So other than YouTube, like, has there been any other strategies you use to get nutrition clients, or has it kind of been just putting out content and people are coming to you?
Yeah, honestly, nothing other than YouTube first and foremost, and referrals, just word of mouth.
Referrals?
That's literally the only thing. Yeah. I don't, I'm at this, starting stages. When I left my corporate job, I like literally I moved back home and I was still paying rent to live in San Diego. So it just goes to show, like, I just wanted to do this really bad. I didn't have money for ads. I literally just had the little bit of money that I saved from my corporate job to like leave and survive off of for a while and, still be able to pay rent. But no running ads, just literally all content, organic stuff, things that I think that people would benefit from, that I wish I would have seen early on, in my journey. And yeah, like, I feel like, it's just like a way to attract the ideal client. Yeah.
So say someone's like coming to you and they're looking to start a nutrition coaching business online. Like, what are a few key things that you would tell them? Like, whether it be a piece of advice, a strategy, or something, like what's something you would tell them?
If they want to start nutrition coaching, like, hammer social media, like all platforms. Like, I've tried TikTok. I try all the new stuff. I'm in the space. Why not? Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, TikTok's whack, and I'm going to try it because it's an avenue that can potentially help me out with my other platforms. Try it. Just jump on social media and hit it hard. Just like you brush your teeth and you work out every day, you should be on social media every single day. And that's just facts. Like, you're going to do one post or 2 posts a week. Like, I'm sorry, but get out of here. Like, you gotta jump on there every single day. I literally have a to-do list, and that's like to post a story and to do 1 post. If I miss a post for some reason, I'll do 2 posts the next day. But I also make sure that I'm like emphasizing, like, at least to be on there, like either interacting, but for sure, like some sort of post, whether that's just share something that I see is cool and share it on the story, or like put something on the story so that people are like, okay, he's on here. And I kind of just took that from like, hey, like, with fitness and everything, you got to do it every day. You got to be consistent. I kind of just took that into, the social media realm. And also, I know it's very powerful because one of my, I guess it's like a friend of a friend, a mutual friend, he's actually sponsored by Gymshark. And I would always ask them what they would do. Like, what's your strategy whenever I was like trying to, figure out if I was going to leave my corporate job and like how to, do this social media thing. And he was like, you got to post every single day. Like, even him who, he's sponsored by Gymshark and has like a ridiculous amount of followers and, clients, he posts every single day. He shows up every day. He puts in the work. And that's both of them. One of them is sponsored by VQ and one of them is sponsored by Gymshark. Obviously, they're more bodybuilding focused brands, but it just goes to show that like, you put that into whatever niche you're in and it's going to pay off eventually. But yeah, jump on social media and hammer it every single day. Just like you wake up every day, you brush your teeth, you eat, you better be on social media every day, putting out your message. So
do you kind of employ like some strategies to how you create a post or what time of day you create a post? Like, do you kind of worry about that stuff, or does that kind of like just kind of drag you mentally, like make you mentally tired or something? Like someone who, yeah. So like, what's your approach around that? Do you get caught up in all those little tweaks and strategies, or?
That's a good question. I'm glad you said, like, does it like kind of like drain you mentally or drive you crazy? Yeah. Yes, I did that like a lot in the beginning, and it drove me nuts, man. It gave me so much stress and anxiety. You kind of just figure out what times of days work for you, and you kind of just stick to that, or honestly, just stick to like a schedule that fits you. Like, if I can only post at noon every day on my lunch break, then do that, but just do it consistently. Because if you have like a consistent time of day that you put stuff out, people are going to catch on to that. But honestly, I wouldn't like worry a whole lot about it, because it does you have so much other stuff that you need to put your attention on to worry about that just adds so much stress to it. It's another like number you got to worry about. It's another like alarm clock or, reminder that you have to like worry about. And it'll just drive you crazy. Little things like that do like help out. But again, I think you just kind of have to find what works for you. And then also, like, if you only have a certain set of time that you can do it at, then just do it at that time. But also, like, what were you saying?
I was just going to say, that's what I kind of found helpful too. Seems like for me personally, when I first start something, I can easily quickly get caught up in like the best practices. Like when I started a personal YouTube channel of mine like a year and a half ago, just getting all caught up in like, oh, the thumbnail has to be this way. These are the best practices, or the video should maybe be uploaded at this time. And then finally, I'm like, screw it. I'm going to make it what works good for my schedule. It's probably going to be better that way because I'll be more consistent.
Yeah, exactly. it just comes down to like that consistency at the end of the day. Otherwise you can just kind of drive yourself into the ground, and
Yeah.
it's crazy.
So this is going to be one of the last questions I'm going to ask, but what resources would you suggest someone wanting to get into nutrition coaching like go after? Because obviously you said, I think your bio says like a certified level 1 nutrition coach. So like where
Yeah.
did you go for that, and what's some resources you would recommend?
Yeah. So I went to, I went through Precision Nutrition. I'm a certified level 1 coach with them. Honestly, I highly recommend them because another buddy of mine, Daniel Cases, I don't know if you know him, but he does CrossFit stuff too. I know he competed for Invictus and stuff. I kind of just network with him on Instagram and stuff, and he went through them as well. And we both agree that it's like one of the best things we've ever done, because to us, like we said, we kind of had to like learn it on our own, and it kind of comes naturally. But it teaches you how to help someone learn about nutrition, how to implement it, because we see it one way and the client sees it another way, and it teaches you how to teach it, rather than like, here's what you're supposed to do it. It's like a bunch of like psychological things, a bunch of like more things to like troubleshoot whenever like your client runs into issues. So it teaches you how to coach nutrition, rather than like, here is, get a nutrition certification. You can know the ins and outs of nutrition, but if you don't know how to teach it to someone or how to get someone to do it, then it's pointless, right? So I highly recommend you going through Precision Nutrition. Also, it is kind of a pricey certification, but they have great customer service. I highly recommend going through them because the information is like invaluable. But also their website and their blog is amazing. You'll learn so much stuff on there, almost pretty much like what the book and the course is about. So I highly recommend going on there. Also just like reading, like, different studies, like go on bodybuilding.com, go on Muscle and Strength. What is it? PubMD, like different places that have different, articles and stuff. That's a great place to learn, especially if it's like something like things about supplements, things about like types of eating, like carb cycling, tracking macros, things like that. Just like look up articles and stuff. Obviously, like try to figure out if it's like a reliable source.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like on your free time, just do that. And yeah, that's kind of what I went through. I know you're like, I don't have many other resources, but
No, you're
that's kind
good.
of just the route that I went. So
I've
yeah, highly
definitely
recommend it though.
I've definitely heard of Precision Nutrition, even though I'm not a nutrition coach. I've definitely heard of them and know of some people
Mhm.
who went through them, and they've all pretty much said what you said. They love their coaching and everything.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Like, um, you go at your own pace. Tons of help. The Facebook group and other people that have been doing it for a long time are super helpful. If you have like a stupid question, it's probably a question that a ton of other people have as well, and you're given an answer and then like supplemented with things as to why it's that way, so it helps you understand a little bit better. And then also like they'll just go ahead and just tell you like, hey, I've implemented this and this is how it went and this and that. So the community is really cool too, and it also just helps you network a lot, because you're like, hey, I do YouTube too, like come check me out. Or if your clients need help, I made a video, like go, I'm not going to see your client, but hey, like here's a resource for them, and you kind of just network and kind of bounce off of each other. So
I think that what you just said is really cool, because I could easily see, like, for myself, if I would get into nutrition coaching, like, which I'm not planning to, I'm just using me as an example.
mhm.
One of the things that would freak me out is I'd be like, what if I get a client and I have no idea what's going on? Like, because obviously I'll be new at it. So, like, where can I go for help? And the fact that you say you
Yeah,
can easily go for help, that sounds really
yeah.
cool.
And it's awesome because tons of people in that Facebook group like have questions like, hey, like this is what's going on, I've never seen it, or I don't know how to go about it. And so many different people just jump in, and they give you answers that's like mind blowing. It's so simple, or it's like you didn't think of that, and like it makes total sense. It's awesome.
Yeah, because like launching this podcast, like I have a ton of questions, and I just jumped into a group for a service that I use for the podcast. I asked a
Uh-huh.
question, and like people are super happy to answer. It's crazy
Yeah.
how many people are just easy wanting to answer you real quick and provide all that free help.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that, like whenever you're doing anything new, like whether it's starting a podcast or starting nutrition coaching or starting your fitness journey and learning about how to track your food and all that, you feel like super like alone and almost like scared to do it. A lot of times that's kind of what's holding you back, because you don't know like how or if you're going to have resources. But there's like little communities that'll help you out. And like with my coaching and stuff, obviously they have me, but also I'll give them like a little community to go to, like, hey, this resource is super helpful, go check it out. etc. So there's tons of people out there that are more than happy to help and that are passionate about, the subject.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Well, cool. I think we covered a lot. I want to thank you so much for being on the show, Rodrigo. Like, where can people find you if they want to go follow you and contact you or follow you?
Of course. Yeah, guys. So my Instagram, shots_G, SHAWTS_G on Instagram. I post every day on there. YouTube, Rodrigo Garcia or Shots G. Look me up. Post at least 2 new videos on there every week, sometimes more. But yeah, guys, that's where you guys can find me. Shoot me a DM, any questions or anything you guys might have. But yeah, I'm starting my own little community, the Breakfast Club, working out in the morning every day. I call it the Breakfast Club. And also kind of craving the grind. It's a little motto that I say, and that's kind of what my little community is about. So if you guys want to join the Breakfast Club, you guys crave the grind every day, go find me.
Cool. Thank you so much, Rodrigo.
Cool. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Business Pump Podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. And stay connected with Michael on social media at @BMichaelGroff on all platforms.